What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 69. I took a couple weeks off there for the holidays. I'm not sure many people were listening to podcasts too much during the holidays when everybody had time off work and spending time with the families. But we'll hop back into it and keep them rolling. Tonight's episode, I got Dylan Albright from Tennessee. What's going on, man?
Not much. How are you?
Not too bad, I can't complain for the most part. I'm having some back problems, which really sucks. I have a appointment at the chiropractor tomorrow, thank God. I don't think I could go another day. I was feeling okay with it, and then this past weekend I went deer hunting down south, filming for somebody, and I don't know if the saddle aggravated my back or what, but I feel like an 80-year-old man.
You probably got a cold front finally. That's what happened down here.
Oh, right. I'd have rather probably been duck hunting instead of deer hunting, since I already got my buck down. But like we've talked before, man, that the ducks just ain't really hitting right now. We haven't had hardly any cold weather.
No, so I tagged out the day after Thanksgiving, and it was like long sleeve shirts, you're fine. And then this past week, it's been prime time, highs in the 40s, lows in the 20s. It's just, of course, the rut's over here now. So, you're catching them just going to feed.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same here. I saw quite a few deer on my way home from work today, all out in cornfields and that sort of stuff. I think like the coldest day we had as far as deer hunting goes was like Halloween. We had a high of like, I don't know, 32 or 34 and a low of like 20. Which was the first day I really got going around here, and then by the time we got into the rut, like you said, during the Thanksgiving, right around that time, I could damn near hunt in a t-shirt probably.
It's crazy, dude, and it doesn't make sense, but I mean, it's kind of nice until you start dragging one out.
Right.
So
that's where the truck comes in.
Yeah.
But, so for somebody that don't know you, man, introduce yourself a little bit.
So I'm Dylan Albright. We're from East Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville. So the university's probably about 45 minutes from us, and we're right on the edge. So it's really not developed a lot yet, but it's coming this way. So we still got pretty good farm country, but it's slowly drifting, man. Like, we've talked a little bit. We've got some farms that butt into big farms that are getting built, subdivisions coming in, which makes some of our hunting really good. So it pushes all the deer to us. But yeah, man, we chase deer and turkey pretty hard. We do a lot of duck hunting. I've been with Drake since 2016, nice, doing the waterfowl thing. So duck hunting's kind of scarce around here, but we do our fair bit of traveling.
Yeah. How'd you get hooked up on the whole Drake thing?
So with Drake, I used to go to Reelfoot down in that area in West Tennessee, and I knew a bunch of boys who were just eat up with it. And I just got with the right guys who were on Drake at the time, and we were doing really good. We were going down for like 3-4 weeks at a time, shooting them, and I got linked up with Drake, and I've been with them ever since. And I use that for everything. Yeah, so the bottomland camo you can't beat.
No, that's good stuff. Yeah, I have I think I told you before, I got like the mid-season Drake jacket. I love that thing. I even wear it sometimes with just a hoodie underneath it, even when it gets really cold out, and it's, versatile and mobile.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the non-typical stuff is great. It's real quiet when you're moving around. The old Tom stuff, it breathes for the, the season. So, but I'm a logo type guy, so I keep the duck head on everything as far as the Drake stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, man, we chase it pretty hard here.
That's awesome, man. How did you get started in the outdoors?
So my dad always hunted. I guess he started taking me probably when I was about 5. I'll be 31 this month. So he started with like squirrel hunting. Of course, you take the little ones, squirrel hunting, yeah. and then we transitioned over to deer as soon as I could sit still. And then he never really turkey hunted, but I wanted to, and we, fired that up, and that fueled another passion. But yeah, man, it's crazy to think about like when you and I started hunting versus now.
Oh yeah, it's a totally different world, really.
Dude, no trail cameras, so everything was magical. Your imagination worked like nobody's business. Yeah. It's wild, man. Because like now, I feel myself sometimes. I check trail cameras, and I'd be like, well, there's nothing coming through in 3 days. I've already chalked it up as a loss. And then it's the one day that the big boy comes cruising through, you know. So I think it's changed a ton, but it still fires me up.
Yeah, for sure. I can remember my first trail camera had like the roll of film in it, and you had to like even get it developed, like taking it to Walmart or whatever to get it developed.
I don't even remember those.
It was like the first go around of the trail cameras. It would just go through the film until the film was gone, and then you had to go develop it.
That's awesome though, but that still gave you the excitement of like seeing what was on there, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it's changed a ton, man.
It has, you know, and I don't think that gets talked about enough, I think, unless I just don't hear it anyways. But, you know, like, I think some people need to try that out. I think last year I only ran maybe 1 or 2 trail cameras, and the deer that I ended up shooting last year with my bow, I never even had a picture of it or anything like that. Yeah. And it went back to that, you know, giving you the excitement, you not knowing what's around, you know. It made it harder to manage because, you know, why shoot a 115-inch buck when you got a 150 or 160 running around? Yeah. But it also gave you like a hard limit, like, man, it's got to be this or nothing kind of deal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's in here. Yeah, that's kind of like I run cameras pretty hard, like from right now until probably, I don't know, Thanksgiving time, and that's normally when I pull them. And I feel like I'm messing up a little bit because the buck I tagged out on, I didn't have any footage of him. He came out of nowhere, and it's in a stand that I've always it's there, but I've never really it's been my favorite stand. Yeah. And I think back on it, man, and we've killed every good deer from that stand. I'm always like, oh, I'll just set in that one just because it's you know, it's just, and the velvet buck, which I showed you a picture of him.
Oh yeah. That's going to be the thumbnail for this episode.
Man, he showed up, and from the time he showed up, the farm that he come from, you know, the majority of our stuff's privately owned or leased. And, so I didn't have any good bucks on here last year. And we worked real hard all summer. We done like a 15-acre bedding area where we come through and cut the edges, notch trees. And we just like, we're not going to go in there. We're going to stay out of there, and we're going to just make this a complete bedding area. So then my buddy was like, well, dude, you know, we're here. We've got the resources. Let's do 2 crop fields on both sides. I was like, okay, let's do that. You know, so we planted corn on the one side and then clover on the other. And then the other is just a hay field. So we just like, all right, we won't mess with it. And I hung the camera up kind of just close because the little ones go with me, and we were walking. And I was like, we'll throw one up right here and put a little bag of corn. And I wasn't expecting to get anything whatsoever. And dude, I checked the cameras the first day, and I was just like, oh man, we've got something special here. And so we stayed on him pretty hard, just keeping like tabs on him where he was coming in. And I had him daylighting from probably April all the way up until September and he was like daylighting 3-4 times a day. And I called my buddy and I was like, dude, I didn't have this buck on camera at all last year. His winter pattern's probably not here. This is probably just where his summer range. I was like, so we got to get him on this velvet hunt. And we set up on both sides of the bedding. And, dude, it was crazy, though. Have you ever had issues with the muzzy not opening?
No. I mean, a mechanical muzzy?
Mm-hmm.
I've never shot a mechanical muzzy. When I shot muzzy, it was always the fixed blades. And yeah. I've never been a huge fan of mechanicals. Not that there's anything wrong with mechanicals. One of the biggest deer I've ever shot, he's on the end here. You can't see him in the video. But when I shot him, it was during gun season. When I had him hung up in the garage and we were cleaning him, I found a mechanical brawhead probably a ½ inch from his spine. So somebody shot that deer and never killed it. And I don't know. I just always had a fear of them not opening, and that's
yeah.
I've seen some video, and I got some buddies that shoot mechanical, but never really was my thing.
It was crazy. So it happened to us on that big one.
Mm-hmm.
So we were sitting there, and it was like probably 8:15. It started kind of getting warm, and of course they're still bachelored up. And I seen the first one, the second one, and then he comes, and we shoot, and it feels great. He tucks, he runs, and we find no blood. And I'm like, man, that's just not like he was hit. I thought, and you kind of know when you pull the trigger if it's a good shot or not.
Right.
And I started looking. I found just a little bit of blood, and then we found just a little bit more. And of course, the hay wasn't mowed at the time, right? So we cut across the hay field. And I have a buddy who has a really good tracking dog, and I called him. I was like, hey, we might need you. So at that point, it'd been like an hour or two. So we were just like, let's just grid search. Like there's a creek on the other side. So we started looking, and boom, there he was. Arrow still in him, double lung, broadhead, not engaged at all.
Wow.
It was luck, like really, that we found him. So I was like, man, there was no blood even to where he was laying.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, phew.
Let's cover that. I had it on here on my show sheet here. Velvet hunting in Tennessee. I hear a lot of people talk and say I hear people say, the first state you can bow hunt in is Kentucky. Well, technically, it's not. The first bow hunting state you can hunt is Tennessee because it's like the last weekend or so of September. I thought it was August.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's August.
Yeah, August. Yeah.
September is archery. Yeah, so it's because in Kentucky, when it does velvet, it's like open for good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have it's August, and then it's almost a month, and then late September is when it opens up for.
Yeah, because it's like 2 days, right? The velvet hunt's 2 days, and it's private land only.
It's 3 days. It's
3
a
days?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Nice.
And they just started that probably 3 years ago.
It's pretty cool because you kind of get that leg up, like you said, they're bachelored up. They got that summer pattern still. Hell, they probably had a hell of a summer coat on it, probably.
I thought he had the mange in trail cameras. Like all the trail camera photos, I thought he had the mange because his winter coat was coming in. Mm-hmm. And the taxidermist said that it was something with his testosterone levels were a little bit higher. So he was starting to change his coat a little bit quicker than others. So he would have probably lost velvet a week and a half, maybe. After that, but he looks a lot bigger with the velvet on, so I'm not.
Yeah, man, that's a dream of mine. I want to shoot a velvet deer so bad. The last 2 years, I've went to Kentucky for velvet with some guys that have been doing it for a long time. I haven't pulled the trigger on buying a tag yet. I always just go and film them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough because it's hard to get into. Not that it's deer hunting. It's not hard to get into deer hunting. It's hard to get into deer hunting when it's 97 degrees outside.
And that's what we had we had talked about you coming down for the velvet hunt.
Yeah.
But we were actually Friday, Saturday, we wasn't even here. Like we went to Chris D'Elia, the comedian, and we went and seen him, and then we got back Saturday late, and I checked trail cameras, and he was there. And I texted my buddy, and I was like, hey, you down to hunt? And he was like, yeah. And, man, we just, those mornings, it just feels like you have to be out there.
Right.
And that's kind of what it was. And we got it done, but it makes me really worried about shooting them in velvet just because we have coyotes really bad here. Mm-hmm. And, you've got probably 30 minutes to get one and get it field dressed and get it out. So we went and got ice that morning, had it in the cooler. Like we were trying to prepare as if we would shoot him, but he still didn't do it like we thought he was going to do. Mm-hmm. He come in, so we thought he was going to come straight across the logging road from the bedding area. He actually went out in the hayfield, and they come up where the dew was. So I don't know if the moisture on the grass, like I don't know if they were circling for coyotes or something like that, but they knew something was up. They just didn't know what it was, and we got them before they got us.
Yeah, talk about the terrain that you're hunting there in Tennessee. Is a lot of you talked about pastures and hayfields. Is it a lot of rolling and steep terrain, or is it flat? What is it?
So we're about 45 minutes from like Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg. Mm-hmm. So the Great Smoky Mountains. So it's super up and down, and then where we are, it's real big valleys and ridges because we have a lake right behind us. So there is flats, but the majority of it's it gets pretty steep in places. So we try to find the plateaus, the little knuckles that we catch them crossing on the top. Mm-hmm. But there's some places that we won't shoot them if we see them crossing, just because it's going to be one hell of a drag.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of stuff to get it out there.
Oh man, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, we have our terrain's pretty forgiving, honestly though. Like it's either super steep for a short amount of time, or it's just it gradually rolls off. Mm-hmm. So, but we don't have like West Tennessee has a ton of ag. We don't have that much ag here. So like anything that we do, we planted a big cornfield, man, and as soon as the acorns started falling, they was not in the corn. If that tells you anything, they were
Oh
straight
yeah.
into the woods. So you find mature hardwoods, man, on the edge of a thicket or something like that, you're gonna kill deer here.
That's awesome. I think I talked about this a couple episodes ago when we were talking about Indiana and how underrated it's been for a long time. And they come out with that list. I don't know if it was a Booner list or a Pope and Young list or whatever, but Indiana didn't make the top 10, which is I still don't understand how that's possible. But Tennessee showed up on there, and I thought, man, when I think of Tennessee, I really don't think of big mature bucks. But seeing what you killed and some of the stuff that you had on trail cameras and stuff, I think Tennessee's kind of underrated.
Well, dude, I'll be honest with you. I always keep up with like the forums and the pages and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this year across the board, everybody was, and not everybody's going to post the little deer that they shoot just because of ridicule and stuff like that.
Right.
But as a whole, every deer that I seen posted was great deer. Like as far as like if you showed me all those deer and then showed them to me 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have said they were from Eastern Tennessee. And so I think everybody's kind of, with trail cams and with all the YouTube and everything like that, everybody's kind of being like, hey, if we give this deer another year, then we're going to get good deer. And
Yeah.
I finally think that that's what's happened. And what's crazy is probably 3 years ago, we were allowed $4 here.
That's crazy.
Yes, $4.
That's
And then it went to
crazy.
3. And then like 2 years ago, they dropped it to 2. So I'm kind of looking for them to drop it to maybe 1, which I wouldn't be opposed to. But in my case, I have 9 farms that's just for us. You know what I'm saying? So like
Right.
it's hard to balance if we just have 1 buck, because then you've got 8 others that's not getting touched. Like for turkey season, we used to be able to have 4, then 3, and now 2. So I'm hoping they leave that alone for right now. But the deer hunt, man, it's really picking up, and TWRA, they're doing, or they're, some people say they're not, but I think they're doing a great job with the public land. The Chuck Swan area, it's a big wildlife. I think it's like 90,000 acres.
Damn.
Could be wrong. It's 70,000, or it's up there. And man, the deer killed in there this year crazy good too. So it's just like everything's getting better. And I think that does have to do with YouTube and like social media, because everybody wants to kill that, that big one. So subsequently, that's helping the deer population grow.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say they must have caught on to something, because I can remember I did a job for my company down in Tennessee, and we were looking at some of the regulations and stuff. And I had some buddies that used to go down there a little bit, and they could kill 4 birds when they were turkey hunted down there. So, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys had a decline in turkey population.
Yes.
I don't think it maybe correlated off that, but I think turkey population as a whole was down, so they kind of went down on the numbers. Sounds like they're doing the same thing with the deer. So maybe, I mean, and I was talking, not to change the subject by any means. You sent me the link to the app or whatever to buy my license and everything for spring turkey coming up. We got checked by Indiana DNR last weekend or the weekend before, and I said, hey, man, how's come you guys don't really have like an app to, with your licensing and all that stuff? Because we can have a digital copy of our license here in Indiana. And he's like, we do have an app. I'm like, yeah, you have the Indiana DNR app, but once you click on the Indiana DNR app, it takes you to a website. Like you can clearly see it's like a web browser. And I'm like, no, look at Tennessee, and I'm like showing him, and the guy didn't understand what I was talking about. But I think Tennessee's kind of got some stuff figured out when it comes to their DNR agency.
They're definitely stepping it up. And you can still print off paper tags, because obviously we have places you can't. It's a tag before you drag. That's their motto now.
Right.
So you can still print off a paper tag if you don't have cell phone service or something like that. But all the game wardens I've talked to, man, they've been great. We had questions about our cornfield. because we flood it for duck hunting. And I just wanted to make sure we were doing everything perfect. That way there was no issues. And man, they were great. They was like, if it don't hold water, put pigs in it. The pigs will, they do something, and they've been super helpful. I've dealt with them a few times. They've come out and helped us. So yeah, they're definitely stepping it up. The deer's coming along. The turkeys doing good. I think the turkey decline is due to predators. They used to have a bounty on coyotes. It was so much per set of ears and a tail, and they done away with that because they got so thick. But I think our turkey issues are more with coyotes and bobcats and raccoons than it is, the actual turkeys, because they actually moved our season back 3 weeks as well. And our numbers were higher this year than it was the year before.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't know if it backfired or if that's what they were looking for to get more people out there. But it's just, and the deer numbers were extremely high this year. And it's weird. Like, I don't know if Indiana's like this, but it used to be in 3 sections of the state. So you had east, middle, and west. And now it's like individual counties can be grouped in with like 3 other counties, and those counties don't necessarily have to be near that county for it to be like a region. So it's kind of confusing. So like in the county I'm in, I was allowed a doe all the way up until gun opened. But in the neighboring county, I'm still allowed a doe. So like you have to really watch, like,
yeah, you really got to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, which county's what. And then the app, a lot of people don't know this, but spoiler alert, you give permission to the app for your location. So if you check a deer out in Knox County, but you're in Union County, it's going to flag.
Oh, wow. That was super smart for them to do that.
Man.
They probably didn't even, nobody even thought about, I mean, now maybe a little bit with all the social medias and that sort of stuff, but that's clever. I like that. It is.
And you have to give them access to your location.
Right.
So they've got you there, and there's no way around that. But I don't know if they're really enforcing that a ton. I'm sure, Yeah. But they've recently reintroduced the elk. So you can actually get elk tags if you get drawn for them. I think they do a couple a year. And so that's actually right up the road from us, man. There's big elk now. So that's kind of cool to see.
That's badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indiana, as far as our tags go, it's per county, like across the board. Each county has different bag limits for does. We can only kill 1 buck in the entire state. But it used to be a lot higher. Like we had Switzerland County in southern Indiana where I was hunting this past weekend. Back in when I first started bow hunting, even into like the mid-2000s-ish, you could kill 8 does in Switzerland County.
Jeez.
Now the highest out of any county in the entire state is 2.
Wow. So do you buy your tags, or is it like Tennessee where, so like if you buy in Tennessee, if you buy your Sportsman's, right, that comes with all your tags. Like you don't have to buy individual tags.
Well, it's kind of weird because it's we don't have anything like that sportsman wise, but like deer hunting, you either buy a gun tag, you either buy a bow tag, or I buy I can't even think of the name of it at the moment. The bundle. And the bundle comes with a buck and 2 does.
Okay.
So if say the county I'm in right now, I can only kill 1 doe, I can go to another county and kill another doe. And then I could buy additional doe tags for like $25 a piece or something like that. I haven't done that in a really long time. 3 deer is enough for me and my family. Hell, I only killed 1 this year, not for lack of trying. I passed on a million different does. I just wasn't really in the mood to shoot a doe this year. I was more chasing some big bucks. And after I killed my buck, I was trying to kill a doe for some more meat and just kind of have some video and have fun with it, but could never get a doe to come in afterwards.
Right, that's how it normally works. Like I done the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna go get a doe. I didn't see one.
Right.
Like the 3 times I hunted, and then I was like, okay, it's muzzleloader. I'm going straight. Good buck. It was just I couldn't get the doe off of me. So, what's your thoughts on the urban hunting?
It's pretty cool. I think it's very unique, especially actually we have we used to call it urban zone in Indiana, but now it's called deer reduction zone. So you could literally hunt like some of the suburbs in Indianapolis and that sort of thing, or almost downtown Indianapolis basically. And we have an earn a buck. So you go into that reduction zone and you kill a doe, you earn another buck that's additional to your one state
That's
buck.
keeping the population thinned down because people want
Absolutely.
to.
We have hell where I work at in downtown Indianapolis, and I literally mean almost downtown Indianapolis. I see 15, 20 deer a day.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
crazy, man.
It really is. So we, of course, Sequan and Lee and all those guys really blew it up, and showed what you could do. But we have a place in Nashville, and we go down and we bow hunt it. And dude, my buddy went down. He missed a big one this weekend.
Yeah,
but
I remember you saying that.
He went down there and bow hunted this area, and come home the next day. This 10-year-old smokes probably a 150
Dang.
in the same stand, man. And he was pumped up. He was like, I'd rather, him get it than me because it gets him fired up. But it's pretty neat doing that. Those people in those subdivisions are like, hey, we spend a ton of money on our grass.
Yeah.
And we kill these deer, and they're wrecking their cars and all kinds of stuff. They get brave, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, where I'm at in Indianapolis, where I work, there's a 150, and I see him, I don't know, once or twice a week, depending on the time of day. And he stands by one of the busiest roads in Indianapolis, just standing off the side. I'm surprised he hasn't been poached yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And like right across from where I work, where I see all these deer, it's like this pharmaceutical company bought this big piece and they turned it into like a park for their employees. So there's like softball fields, frisbee golf, there's a lake to fish, and softball fields and all that kind of stuff. And I'll drive going to lunch and I'll see all these deer like in the middle of the baseball field eating grass.
It's crazy.
It is.
And then
crazy.
you go to a place like that, an urban hunt, where scent doesn't matter, noise doesn't matter. I wash all my clothes in just straight game because where we live now, like we work it as a farm. Mm-hmm. So my buddy tried scent killer one morning. He's like, I'm going to scent killer down. I'm going to do doe and estrus, all this stuff. And, man, they busted him. They busted him fast.
I bet.
And he was like, I don't understand. I'm like, man, that's not what they're used to. Because so we're lucky. There's a huge, well, it's not huge, but there's a gated subdivision, and every house is on like 5 acres. So they can't hunt because of the HOA, and all those deer, they'll come out of there because they've got it made, and then they cross over to us, and then we work it. So they they don't fear people,
right?
At all, or the scent, I guess you could say. So I'm really lucky on this farm, but then I've got another farm about 20 minutes away that, man, if you snap a twig, they're gone. Like they're just right. So it's crazy. But those big bucks here, man, they learn so fast. They're like, okay, well, the leaves are on the tree, we're safe. Leaves are off the tree, we got to move at night. I feel like that's kind of how they move here. But we try to do as much pre-season prep as we can, as far as like shooting lanes and I've tried this new thing recently with like bush hog in the fields, where I leave almost like an X. I think they call it like a Texas stripping.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so we've tried that out to see if they move more comfortable, in there. I don't know. I think this past 5 or 6 years, I don't know if it's because I've gotten older and more patient, or if it's trail cameras,
Right.
kind of more tuned in with what's going on. And I feel like I told my buddy I'd rather go and see deer like 5 times out of 5 than go and shoot one and only see one that whole year.
Right.
It's kind of where I've gotten with it, So I don't know, man. I've really enjoyed this year. Just I've tagged out early, obviously, but I've been taking one of my good buddies, and man, this is probably his 3rd year deer hunting, and I've had him all over him, and just seeing him get that pumped up gets me as pumped up. So we had a really close encounter with probably 150 inch this past weekend. And he just, I don't know, he was broadside, 65 yards. He had the Browning X-Bolt, and he just choked on him. He killed a doe and another buck this year. So this was like the biggest buck he's ever had scoped. And I think what got him is, man, that deer came out early. He almost had him. He slipped off into the beech trees, and then he come back out an hour later. And he was like, all right, well, I've got to hurry because it's now or never.
Right.
And I think he counted the chickens before they hatched. And he was all tore up, dude. He called me like 3 times. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, hey, man, it happens.
Well, that's you said it's only like his third year deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happened to us, but we were 15 years old. You got to go through those growing pains to figure it out. Or I wouldn't even say figured out. Hell, I don't even have it figured out. But to get an idea of how to handle yourself in situations. I know guys when they would be in a situation like that, 150-inch deer, they black out. It's like they don't even understand what they did. I don't even know what happened. It's like, what do you mean you don't know what happened? Like, you just got to like calm your nerves and like collect yourself. But some people, it just gets the best of them. They may not have been in that situation very many times, and buck fever takes over quick.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, well, which way was he headed? Because I could see him, but the beech trees was kind of in the way, and I was like, which way was he? Because I could see him, but I couldn't really see him. He's like, he was coming right at us. I was like, was he acting nervous? Because I was trying to watch him because I didn't want to move and bust us. And he was like, no, he was coming right at us. His head was down. I'm like, man, no situations, dude. You got to just let them come. I was like, unless they get kind of fidgety. And there was a lot of deer around. I sent you a video of how many we had come through. So he was trying to get it before the getting was gone. And I told him, I was like, well, now next time, like, you'll know because you don't want this gun sucks. And it was a good clean miss, and that makes it better.
At least he didn't wound something,
Yeah, and but he was tore up, and man, I'll be honest with you, we would have had a perfect season if he'd hit him. We wouldn't have missed one. I didn't say that to him, but
all right.
I was like, man, I felt bad because I was like, well, at least you missed him good, and I was like, he'll be in here next year as long as he don't get hit by a car or something, and he'll be even bigger. He just wasn't meant to be, and man, it's still haunting him, I believe. But
I guarantee it. I know mine is.
it closes on the 7th here, and man, we had, in my opinion, one of the best years today, even though the weather wasn't perfect. But yeah, they started running pretty quick here, man. It was probably early November. They were chasing. In my area, I had a pretty cool encounter. I got super pumped. I heard a doe come running, got her on video, and then I heard all this grunting, and I was like, "Oh man, this is it. This is going to happen." And it was a button buck.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'd never seen that before. I mean, he was tongue out, chasing her hard, just grunting like crazy. I'm pretty sure he snort wheezed. I couldn't tell because I was like shaking. I was so ready. And then I got him, and I was like, what in the world is this?
I got a video of something similar in Wisconsin in 2020. I heard grunting and everything, looked over, and there was snow on the ground, so I could see quite a bit. And here comes this little, he wasn't even a basket rack. He was a little bitty thing. He made a scrape. He chased does in circles. I got video of him grunting and everything. And it's pretty funny, think of us as younger guys, we chase it around too. You know what I mean? It wasn't just for old dad,
I would get gone at my first year, I tell you.
Right.
Yeah, dude. And then it was crazy because that second deer I tagged out on, it was the day after Thanksgiving. It was my fiance's birthday. And I was like, I'm going to sneak out the front door for a little bit and go hunt. And, we have the new baby. She was 3-4 months old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm big on like waking up early, getting the baby fed, getting her back to sleep. That way she don't have to deal with, she gets to sleep a little bit longer, and it helps me, Mm-hmm. And man, it was like 20 minutes until shooting line, and Macy was still wide awake, just watching me. And I was like, no, baby, you got to go sleep. And so she finally falls asleep, and I take her in there, and I'm like, all right, we're good. And I was like, I don't even know if it's worth it. I'm sweating already because I was trying to get her to sleep. And I drive the side-by-side up, and I park it, and I walk about 100 yards, and I climb in, and it's breaking daylight already. I was like, well, this is just kind of a waste of time, And I was like, but it's nice to be out here. I'm just going to enjoy it. And some doe come through, and, man, I stand up in the tree stand to stretch a little bit, and I turn around. There he is looking right at me about 15 yards. And I was like, well, that's it.
You're gone.
Yeah, and – man, I was like, oh, he don't look that big, because it was still kind of like dusk almost.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets in the beech trees, and he gets out in the field, and I get a good little video of him. And then I'm like, I'm going to scope him. I think he's bigger than what I think. And when I scope him, I'm like, oh no, I may have just messed up. And he's checking a scrape, and I pulled the trigger, and I got him. But it's just like all within 30 minutes. Dang. And I was back home. And it's just like, it's crazy how some hunts go that fast, you know. But this year I really switched to the climbing stand. Mm-hmm. I know you're a saddle guy.
I have everything. I had a Summit climber. I've told the story on here a million times. My Summit, actually, the platform like bent. I mean, I'm a bigger guy, but geez, I'm not that big to bend aluminum. So I don't know what happened, but I bent it up, and I haven't used a climber since. But a climber is a great tool to have for sure.
Man, we put our backpacks on the climber and we hike in, and that's been nice. It gets you a little higher than just the typical 12-foot ladder stand. Mm-hmm. So we used it because before that, man, I was a big advocate on just like getting in there, sitting on the edge of like 60 yards off where you want to hunt and just ground hunting it. And now that I've finally switched over to the climbing stand, I'm like, I don't know why I've waited this long, but the saddle thing looks pretty intriguing. I just feel like I've got to be around it once or twice to see how.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that same thought. Like, I don't know. It looks like a lot of trouble. It looks like, a lot of ropes, and I don't know how this. Honestly, if somebody just shows you how to do it, you'd be like, oh, I like that. But there's a kicker to everything. Like with a climber, it's too heavy. Blah blah blah. With a saddle, you got to have good sticks, man. And you got to have a good backpack to get everything in there. If you're in there fumbling a bunch of shit and you've got stuff clanging off one another, that sucked. I took electrical tape and went around all the zippers on all my pockets on all my saddle stuff. So like when I'm walking and it's hitting, it's not clanking and stuff. But the sticks, man, are. I can't even emphasize that enough. In my opinion, from my experiences with it, like this past weekend, I hunted with a buddy that we just brought on to Blue River bow hunting, and he just got into saddle hunting, and he had these. I don't even know what brand they were, but he already had them in the tree. Already had his platform, so I just went up and then put my platform above his. Yeah. And we came back down at lunchtime, and we took the sticks down. We were going to go set up in another spot for the evening hunt. I'd throw these son bitches in the trash, dude. I don't even know where you got these things, but you're gonna get hurt messing with these things. Like when I was climbing down, because there was a 2 steps on top and 2 steps on bottom. When I grabbed the bottom stick, it like came off the tree. I was like, dude, you're gonna get hurt messing with these things, man.
Yeah, dude. It don't take long, or it don't take much at all for something like that to get a squirrel chew on a strap. Anything. We had a squirrel chew on one of our. We've got one. What is it? Double River. The blind or is it double edge? It's anyway.
River's Edge.
Yes, it was a really nice double stand with the mesh seat. We got up there in a brand new stand and a squirrel chewed a hole in the seat.
Yep.
Well, we got to duct tape that, I guess. But yeah, man, and the harnesses have come a long way.
Oh, absolutely. I love my hunter safety system, man.
That's what I just ordered with the rope. I got the rope. You just run the carabiners through and you just pull it,
Yeah, what do they call those safety lines or whatever those things are? Those are nice, man. Line.
For $30, you can't beat it, and especially if you have little ones at home.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I keep a couple ground blinds up still. Like I sent you a couple videos. I took my 3-year-old out there for a little bit. She wanted to go, and she went with me last year, and I don't know how we pulled it off, but we killed a turkey. Nice. He was in the blind. She was making more noise than the bird was outside of the blind. And dude, he had there was 4 of them come in, 4 big long beards, and she's in there with a shovel just throwing stuff around. And I'm like, all right. And I bought her a 410. I was like, well, let's use the 410. I was like, you want me to shoot one? She was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, we'll sit down. We put her earmuffs on, and we shot one, and she was all pumped up about it. And then she was like, she told me she was going to shoot one of Santa's reindeers. I was like, I don't think we need to do that. I was like, and so I was like, well, I'll take you deer hunting. And I took her, and dude, she done great for 3-year-old, but she watches duck hunt and she watches deer hunt.
She's probably more knowledgeable than any other 3-year-old there is. I see a lot of your TikToks with her out riding on with you on the side by side, checking blinds and stands and stuff. She's probably going to be one of them, one of them girls that wants to be with you in the woods 24/7.
Oh man, I'll take her. Yeah, she helps us. This past year when we was building the duck hole, we built this big levee system. Man, I was like, I think she was 2 at the time. I was like, I think she can run this bobcat. I was like, I'm just gonna sit in there and let her run it. And man, I told her how to do it, and I was like, take us back there. And she drove us all the way back there. My buddy was in the bucket. She was driving it. She can work the bucket. She gets a little wonky with the bucket, but she does great.
That's pretty impressive, really.
Dude, we had her hanging tree stands with us. She'd like carry the straps and it's funny because it's like the little things. Like we'll load the side by side up to go check stuff, and I'll be like, back me up, let me know when I'm close to the trailer, and I've got the camera. She has no clue I have the camera. So
That's awesome.
She'll give me the thumbs up, and then I'll get out and she'll be like, it's like she's
Right.
real big. And man, I just when I was a kid, we went and like you done good to see a deer.
Right.
When I was a kid, so like you did it doe days on the juvenile hunt was probably your 2 hunts out of the year that you might really get one.
Mm-hmm.
So for her, I was just like, I'm going to make it fun and we're going to do what we can to make sure she gets whatever. And in the state of Tennessee, all she has to do is pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get a tripod or something like that and the phone, have you seen the phone scopes?
Get one of those death grips. I see a lot of parents using those for their kids to shoot guns. They say it's there's like hardly any recoil on it.
So I think if I'd done that and got maybe like the phone mount,
mm-hmm.
shoot, man, we'll have her out there next year shooting deer.
That'd be awesome, man.
Does Indiana, do they have like lifetime license and stuff like that?
We used to. I think it was right before I graduated high school was the last time we had them, and they were like $1,800 or something.
Oh, geez. So this is crazy. So my Sportsman, which it goes up like every 3 years, it's $176 a year. So I bought Maddie's lifetime license for $300.
Dude, that's awesome. That's I spend more than that in a blink of an eye in a season.
Yeah, that's what I spend,
It's kind of to go back when we were talking about licenses in Indiana and stuff. Like I have to buy a turkey tag. I got to buy deer tags. I got to buy my waterfowl stuff. I spend over probably almost that in just for myself in one season in Indiana. Then I go to West Virginia. I go to Michigan. I go to Missouri. I spend a lot of money just in tags every year.
And it's crazy because each state's so different. We
sure.
do Missouri. We go down to Kennett, Missouri, and we do a lease down there for duck hunting. It's not bad, but I'm not deer hunted there, so I don't know how the deer tags go.
The deer tag was $265.
See, that's crazy. So I'll spend $176. That's everything. That's muzzleloader, bow, gun. That's turkey, small game, all my migratory bird stuff, and then I'm left with the $25 federal duck stamp. That's
right.
It.
And
so
you can use that everywhere.
Yeah, I get about $200 a year. But if you buy your Sportsmans, then you can put in for quota hunts on the management areas for free. Mm-hmm. So you can, and I get drawn every year, but I like to know what I'm getting into before I go, and I've not had time to really go scout some of those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So once you buy your license for here, man, you need to start putting in because you build up points and you can get drawn for the elk here, everything.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped up to come down and do some bird hunting with you, man. I've seen how many birds are in the Tennessee area. I see your trail cam pictures and all the birds you guys are killing. I'm pretty excited to come down, man.
We you get a lot of must be nices and stuff like that, throughout the year, but our real time to grind is fixing to start. We're working on, like I told you, we do strut zones. So like where they're roosting to where they're feeding, we'll go through and cut 10-foot wide roads, and then we'll plant it. We build nesting areas just for the birds to get in there and nest. Like we'll let it grow up kind of thorns. We've recently tried to get pheasant and quail back on this farm. We bought some and tried to raise them, but we have the bald eagles here. Man, they pick them off as fast as you can let them go.
Oh, I guarantee it.
But yeah, we do a lot. So like the hunting's really, really good. But I'll start running. Honestly, I'll probably go ahead and start putting food out for the deer to get them replenished from, the rut and chasing hard. And then I'll get a collection of what I've got going in to summer. And then I've got to kill some of these coyotes, or they're probably going to dwindle it down pretty quick. But yeah, dude, we run cameras hard for turkey season. We run. And we don't pressure a lot of our stuff. Like we'll rotate our farms and stuff like that. But we have 5 really large lakes within 40 minutes of us.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll hop in the boat, dude. And like TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, owns so far off the lake bank. So a lot of these areas, there'll be 500-600 acres you can get to, but you have to have a boat. So we'll run up with the boat, man, and we'll be crappie fishing, and we'll just be calling, and then they'll finally fire up, and we'll just take off after.
That sounds awesome,
dude. It's so much fun.
So, do I have to buy anything with the turkey tag to be on public land?
No.
Oh, that's even better.
I'm gonna double check, but I'm pretty sure, like when you buy your small game and like your turkey, because I buy my Sportsman, so I'm gonna double check because I know
I probably have to have like a base license and then the turkey tag or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think if you buy the turkey license, like there's like an angler packet. They do all kinds of stuff. So they'll do like an angler package that covers like all your fishing for Tennessee. Mm-hmm. They'll do like a waterfowl package to where if you just want to duck hunt. So I'm going to check into it for you probably tonight or tomorrow and see what the best, because our license, they just change it to where it runs from the date bought to the date bought. It used to run from February 28th is when they expired, so everybody would buy them, right before turkey season, and then they would just expire February 28th. But now with this new thing, I kind of need to look into it a little bit more to see, because mine just auto renew. But as soon as you buy it, you're good until that date the next year. But like you won't have to buy individual turkey tags or anything, so it'll be super nice.
Awesome.
They try to make it easy.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. What about traditions deer-wise? You and your buddies or your family, you guys got any traditions you do during deer season?
Man, muzzleloader is like, I think because muzzleloader's been the most, like they rut the hardest, it's the most magical. So opening day of muzzleloader, it's normally me, my dad, and my buddy Steven. And we hit them pretty hard. And, man, I try to get them on them. Steven, he's the one who's only hunted this like his third year. He's like a sponge right now, so he's picking up on everything. But I think it's all in how you interact with them and how you teach them to, like, hey, man, just climb high and be safe, and you'll see them. And we always do this crazy thing where, like, hey, I think they're going to do this, and we'll be texting back and forth on Onyx, like, directions, right? So we'll do, like, over-under, who's the closest to what the deer do. And dude, we've been all over it this year, so we'll do it for turkey hunting this year too.
Heck yeah! So I got a question for you, and you already know the question that's coming. I was listening to and then also saw on social media, but the Hunter's Advantage podcast did a question, and I'm not trying to steal this from them. I am giving them all the credit in the world, but this is an excellent question. Great conversation starter between deer hunting guys, maybe a guy at work or something like that. But what is if you had like a Mount Rushmore of hunters, and you got to have a TV guy, a YouTube guy, a podcast guy, and then you get a wild card. So TV guy, who you going with? Who you hunting with? TV Mount Rushmore.
Man, I got to go Michael Waddell.
Nice, that's a good pick.
He's just a turkey man, and he gets so pumped up. I met him at the National Turkey Convention, and he is the same in person that he is on the the Bone Collector. Yeah. I'd have to go Michael Waddell on that one.
So I'm gonna do this with you. TV, I'm gonna go Stan Potts. I've been told that I have the same energy as Stan Potts deer hunting wise.
So funny. That's my second. That is my I love Stan. He gets so excited.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's me, man. I get jacked up. You'll see we kill a bird, I'm going to get jacked up.
Dude, there's this one. So on Thanksgiving, we'd always watch like the old DVDs, right?
Yeah.
And there was one I remember Stan he was in like this tree line on two fields, man. And I thought he was going to shake himself out of that tree.
That's awesome.
That is so funny. I swear to you, I was going to, that was number 2.
That's awesome. All right. YouTuber, Mount Rushmore.
Man, I feel weird putting a YouTuber on there since YouTube is so relatively new with the shows.
Well, that's kind of what makes it interesting a little bit. What I mean?
With the accolades that he's done and what he stands for, I've got to go Lee with Seek One, man.
Yeah, that's hard. I'm
morals,
right with you.
His morals and the way he goes about things, and I think everybody who hunts should really kind of take that aspect as far as like giving that kind of respect to an animal because, dude, they're gnarly.
Yeah, they are.
And
That one
they
he
can
killed this year was unbelievable.
living with like the craziest scenario, so it's like, and just how he handles himself. I think he's up there.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm gonna go kind of homer on this one, and that's gonna be a couple of these people that probably don't even know who some of these people are. I'm gonna go Zach Sloan from Mid-State Outdoors, some guys I turkey hunt with and deer hunt with from Michigan. But Zach Sloan's a killer. He knows how to get it done, and his YouTube videos are badass. So I don't even know if he watches or listens to this much, but I'd go Zach Sloan.
I'll have to check that. I'll check them out.
Yeah, you check their stuff out. It was pretty good. Podcaster, who you going with?
Man, Steven Ranella.
Nice.
I love all, which, I seen him from Netflix originally, with the Meat Eater stuff, and then the Meat Eater, and I'll spit random facts from their trivia,
right.
All the time because they're so consistent with their stuff and everything that they do. So yeah, Steven Ranella, and man, he goes out and shoots. He's hunting for meat, and I admire that in this day and age to be able to go out there and just hunt for what you want to take.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to go Christian Babcock, which is Hunter's Advantage. He came up with this question. I see all the stuff where he's traveling and he's killing really good bucks. I'm going to go Christian Babcock. Wild card. This is where it's going to get interesting.
This is a good one.
Wild card. Who you going with?
So I grew up on the old Realtree, VHSs and stuff like that, and I think it'd be wild to go hunt with a Dale Earnhardt because he was a killer.
That's bad. I should have thought about that. I never thought about that. I actually have a Dale Earnhardt neon sign back here that you can't see.
That's the southern end coming out, but
right.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt.
I'm going to pull one out that you may have overlooked thinking about this, but I'm going to go Dan Infalt.
Yeah.
Dan Infalt can kill some absolute deer, and he knows his way around some public land for sure.
Dude, yeah, that's like, if you go back to like where we were growing up really watching them, the juries, were the Jordans, they were game changers. I
feel like this list could be different for turkeys and deer.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's some killers on a list that'd be turkey hunt like Eddie Salter for sure. I hope he's doing okay. He had some medical issues. Eddie did. I think he had like a heart attack or something.
Yeah, and he was. Yeah, he was getting around, but he was older when I was first coming up. It felt like so. Like, Eddie Salter, man, and
Night and Hail. Harold Knight. That'd be badass to hunt with Harold Knight.
What is that one guy's name? Oh, I can't think of it.
Turkey or deer?
Turkey. He was always with Eddie Salter. Shorter guy, black hair. Man, he was goofy as can be. A lot of people didn't like him at conventions and stuff, but he was the greatest guy ever. Dang it, I'll have to text you that'll hit me as soon as we're done with this.
I know, that's how it is, because when you're on the spot, you're like, I don't remember.
I can see him plain as day. But yeah, dude, I don't know about turkey. Michael Waddell's up there with turkey.
For sure. You'd have to go Dave Owens, Panhoney Project for the YouTube. That's, him. And then for a wild card for turkey, I would probably go with the dudes from Team Wingbone. Have you ever watched their YouTube?
Uh-uh.
Oh, dude, look that up. Their turkey videos are unbelievable. I had them on this podcast, Spring Thunder edition last year, I believe, or the year before. I can't remember. They start off in like March, and they don't even end it till like June. And it's like,
wow.
But when he starts putting videos out, it's from the year prior. So like all during turkey season, from like February to like May, it's like 1 or 2 videos a week, and they're him and his dad. So the great grandpa or great grandpa, I can't remember how far it goes back to, like 1920 something in Louisiana.
Wow. And
all they do is use the wing. They use other calls too, but they're big with the wing bone call. And these dudes are absolute killers. I'm talking, it doesn't matter what state you put them in, they're killing turkeys left and right. Oh yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yeah, I know a couple guys like that, man. It's like they check the window and they're like, we're headed this way.
Right.
They're right back,
Right.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. I've really been I've always up until this year been really adamant on tagging out on good deer and just chasing ducks.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, man, we were just firing on all cylinders, and it felt I've got that fuel for just deer this year.
That's awesome.
And so I'm just like, I've still got an Alabama trip planned. They're not even running down there yet, which blows my mind.
That's crazy. That's really crazy.
It's super south, in Laverne, Alabama. I'm probably saying that wrong. But it's like 6 hours for me, so it's almost in Florida.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe, you think the further south you go, kind of the smaller the deer get.
Right.
But man, they're killing some studs down there, and I'm super pumped. It's going to be weird though, because it's cool in the morning and then short sleeves in the afternoon. So it's
yeah, that would be weird.
But I'm looking forward to that.
How did that trip come together?
Duck hunting, buddy, man. With Drake, I've been fortunate enough to network with all these people as field experts. I get to work some events for them.
Mm-hmm.
I worked the event at the Smoky Mountain Guns and Ammo. They had a big fall festival, and I worked for Drake up there. And dude, it's just cool talking to people.
For sure.
Pigeon Forge is a huge travel destination.
Yeah.
So I was talking to people from Florida to Pennsylvania to Ohio. I mean, just everywhere, and they were coming through, and I would chop it up. Dude, those 8 hours each day would just blow by. And I just, man, you know how it is when you see somebody else doing good. I'll amp them up, they amp me up, and then we end up planning something and linking on hunts and I try to get with our seasons the way they are, with like 2 birds and stuff like that, man. If I've got a buddy who I know's eat up with it, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, right.
Birds and we'll get them. So, I get more pumped up these days to see somebody else kill than I do for myself.
I'm the same way sometimes too. When I'm behind the camera, it's just as cool, if not better, for me to see that satisfaction of them getting it, and then you're capturing between them taking the animal and then their reactions afterwards, and then the interviews and all that kind of stuff. And they don't think about that stuff when they're taking the animal and all that stuff. That's the last thing on their mind is what's behind that lens, and so to catch all of that feel is badass. Footage. Oh yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely some roller coaster of emotions that go through, but when my buddy shoots one and I don't, it's nice because I know I don't have to field dress it.
Right.
But it's like one of those stressful things. It's like I don't mind to do it, and I can do it super fast. But I'm like, hey, hell,
you're deer, you're cleaning it.
yeah, you're deer, and we're lucky. That last one we shot, I'll send you a picture of it. He had 2 main beams coming straight up from here. It was crazy looking. And man, he ran around a ravine, and then he fell like 120 yards down into a ravine. And it took us forever to drag that deer out. It was one of those, you got grab a stick and you pull yourself up.
Oh,
and then we carry our stuff 20 yards, set it down, come back, drag the deer to the stuff, carry the stuff, 20 more feet. And then it was just one of those days where, dude, we were pouring sweat, but we laughed the entire time. And it was like, it sucked, but it was great,
We hosted a public land deer camp last year in southern Indiana. And a buddy that I work with, Jeremy Waldo, killed Walden. I call him Waldo. But he killed one like 2 miles from actually, he was the only person to kill in camp. It was a nice buck. And we had like this group chat going on, and I sent the pin to where we were at. I said, anybody can come help us drag this deer out, come help. Dude, like 10 people showed up. Let's do it. We all got down in there, and me and Waldo and Austin Grider and one other person, I can't remember who was with us. It was Aaron Clark. We had already drugged this deer like a mile. And then we got to a certain point, dude. We were just we had it hooked up to the harnesses, and 2 people would pull it, and then we'd switch. And when everybody got down there, there was multiple people that knew what they were doing. They're like, you're not getting this deer out of here. So we had to end up quartering it out. Scott Thompson from Texas knew what he was doing, whipped the knife out. He actually had game bags and stuff. He cut it all up. We all packed it up and got out of there. But time I got back to camp, I was ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
Like, it straight whooped me, man.
That one man was ready, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Game bags and all, and you drag one out and you're like, dang, I'm so out of shape. But you get back and it's just like you can tailgate party at that point.
Yeah. We got deep that night for sure.
So it's so much fun, man. And I've not really been on a good deer trip in a while, just because we've done everything here, and then we switch gears to the ducks, and I've got a really, really good duck dog. He's getting a little bit older, so he's slowing down just a tad. So I was able to just kind of, slow down and enjoy deer. But dude, I've killed turkey with that dog.
That's awesome.
I've thrown him in the deer blind and shot deer with him. So it's really cool to see. Like, he just gets pumped up about that. But man, deer just had me. It's still like I wish I could go another.
I know. I wish I could kill more than one buck in Indiana. I'd probably still be after it too, but it's probably a good thing.
I'm so scared about that, but I know it'll be good in hindsight. But
yeah,
man, one buck, you better choose wisely, because if you get that one in velvet, dude, you're missing
all of deer season. Yeah. That's when you start planning out of state trips in November.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's coming. I really do think they're going to end up doing that, or even if they do like a restriction, because some of our wildlife management areas have point restrictions. So 4 on one side, or you have to be outside of the ear spread. And I think that would help. But I guess it really don't help on the poachers and stuff like that are, doing whatever they do. But, I would love to be one of the states that everybody really was like, dang, that's where the big boys come from. Because I feel like Kentucky, my buddy goes to Indiana, man, and he kills monsters, absolute monsters. And Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, Kansas, I feel like everything this way is kind of pushing towards that, just growing. And if everybody can get on the same page, man, and everybody quit being such assholes to people, like we, shoot for them, dude, or if they, I see people that do things differently than me that I'm just like, oh man, that's going to work for them, or it's paid off for them. Like, it's just, everybody does it differently, and everybody's so quick to jump on people and be like, well, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, and, I've talked about that and linked to multiple people and on here several times. Everybody does it different, and it is hard if you do it a certain way and you're successful, because somebody else may do it another way and they may be successful too, and they may say something that's like, the total opposite of what you do, and you're thinking in your head, man, I don't know, but you can't really say anything because it's their way of doing it. You know what I mean?
And especially with everything going on now, dude, I think everybody should just band together, support each other, because we have enough pressure coming down on us from, outside of the hunting industry. I don't think we need to be battling each other on what's going. The biggest thing I am, man, is just making sure if you post a picture, I try to keep it as less graphic as possible,
For sure. Yeah.
No like big gaping wounds or anything like that, or right. Stuff like that, and I just try to do that just to keep it as clean as possible, because I've got some people that let me hunt that don't eat meat like at all, but they understand that it has to be done. They're like, well, there's too many deer around here, and I know that they're going to get something, and then it's going to wipe them all out. So if we can keep them, so like I just try to be, you see some people just like completely airing everything out there. I'm like, oh man, that's reckless. But yeah, I try to pump everybody up, dude. If you get pumped up over a spike, then hey, I did. I've got many.
I've been pumped up over it.
I felt bad for a spike if he come across me, because I was taking him. And I think, that's something to do with just like getting new into it, and then you kind of understand more and you keep leveling up. And I think the more you learn, the more you're going to do. And I think once I decided, I was like, I just want to see deer, is when I started killing good deer.
Mm-hmm. I think social media had a lot to do with some of that shit. Like back in the day,
absolutely. If
you went to a deer camp in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where tradition runs deep, and they've had camps for hundreds of years of people deer hunting, and you told them, hey man, you probably shouldn't shoot that basket rack. Them dudes would be like, what? You're crazy. Yeah. We're shooting everything.
Yeah, they're like, don't shoot him, send him my way, because I will.
Right.
Yeah, dude, it's, and I just hope I wish everybody could feel as pumped up that I get when I shoot a big buck or a limited ducks or a turkey, because, man, everybody would get along.
Everybody would get along, and everybody would have such a better attitude, too.
Oh, yeah, man. And we've had some just shit hunts before and had the best time.
Oh, for sure.
Like turkey hunting, or deer hunting. It's like, well, that really sucked. Like, we could have been a lot of other places and been warm and seen the same deer, but we're out here, and some of the best memories though. That's what it's all about.
Oh, for sure. Well, I'll close out with this question I ask normally on here, but for first time guests, dream hunt. What's your dream hunt?
Oh man, I would say probably a combo hunt of like maybe deer and then ducks. I don't know, turkeys up there too. I'd love to get a reload. That's hard. Kansas, a big Kansas buck would be great. I think Canada for duck hunting would be an insane thing to do.
What about big game like some moose or bear or big doll sheep or something like that?
I don't know, man. I'm pretty pure on just the deer, duck, and turkey. We tried bear hunting once, and it was a lot of walking. It was a lot of walking. I think a big, like a mainframe, probably like perfect 12, 180, 190, 12 point. Symmetrical. You turn him one way, that's all you see is one set. That's
Right.
probably the dream hunt.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I stick with the and it may be obviously everybody's gonna be a little different, man. I want to go bear hunting so bad, and I'd love to shoot a big moose. But I'm with you. I mean, I've hunted some of them states that you were talking about earlier with some of them big bucks.
Yeah.
I just don't have the big buck to show for it.
Right. Yeah. But it only takes, that one time. And it's that lifelong memory that is hung on the wall.
Yep, this will be my third year putting in for preference points for Iowa. I got a year, maybe two, depending on when I want to go. My neighbor, he's a year behind me on points, so I'm probably going to let him catch up with me. So maybe when he gets to 4 and I'll be at 5, we're probably going to take a week or so, maybe more, find us a place in Iowa, maybe rent a house or Airbnb or something. We're just going to go after it.
When you come down for turkey, you're going to have to break all these point systems down in different states, so I can start getting in on it too.
Yeah, for sure. That's the only one that I do when it comes to points. I haven't dove into the Kansas thing yet. I understand that that's a different one. I don't know if you just put in and you have to get drawed. I have to do some research, but I'm for certain on the Iowa thing. It's points, and it's like $60 to buy a point, I think.
Oh wow!
And it's all about where you want to go, what zone that you want to get drawed for, and I want that Southwest or that Southern Iowa. Man, I want to go over there. So that's for what I do when it comes to filming and deer hunting and stuff like that. I feel like Iowa's like the big leagues, man. That's like it's like I made it to the Major League Baseball or something like that.
The footage would be insane,
right? And then. I never was a public land guy growing up. I never hunted public land growing up. But the last several years going to other states, hitting public land and trying to read maps and that sort of thing, I find that exhilarating in another sense. You got to sharpen your pencil. You know what I mean? Let's check it out. Let's put boots on the ground. Let's go in there.
A little bit deeper.
Yeah, I mean, go in there. I mean, I really need one of these e-bikes bad. I'm going to get me one here sooner or later, but getting on one of them e-bikes and go checking some public out without really messing a place up, even though it's probably already messed up because there's so many people that hunt public land. But I get that's an adventure to me, and sharpening your pencil and putting your skills to the test. Can you really put yourself on some big deer? I like it.
Yeah, and especially at this point where you and I can look at maps and we can say, all right, this is what they're doing. And then you go out and you see that gives you the confidence to step outside and be like, all right, let's go further back. Because those deer, deer that far back don't know if it's private or if it's, they don't
right.
that land.
They just know that smell isn't what they're used to.
Yeah. And we've got some areas around here, man, we've got one area, it's like 90,000 acres. And some of the biggest deer I'm talking about, just monsters are killed out of there because people aren't scared to hike back on the backside of that mountain, and it may take them 4 hours to get back there, but they're killing one, and then they're just like, we'll drag it they'll look on maps, they're like, this is the closest road, we're going downhill to the closest road that we can, instead of going the way we came in, and yeah, I think I would like to branch out because I'm pretty spoiled here as far as
that's a good thing though. I mean, it makes you
and I would rather have it and not need it than need it not have it. So, but I would like to branch out a little bit and get outside of the state and chase some. We do a lot for duck, but that's a lot different. You know what I mean? So like
right.
be able to pin down a deer and get a big one like that, or even a long beard. You could put together a really nice trip to where you hit 4 or 5 states and just make a big loop.
I'd love to. The year that I retire, I'm starting in Florida and I'm going up and I'm just going to do a big loop and hit go up through Nebraska and, Texas or something and get some of them species I've never killed. I'm going to try to get that Grand Slam all one shot. Well, close to one shot. I won't have to kill an Eastern because that's all I've ever killed. So.
Right. One question for you. How do you think hunting is going to be in the next 10 years since we've seen it progress so crazily in the last 10?
I don't know. It's scary to think about, and obviously, they say there's a decline. I don't know where I've heard this. I've heard it somewhere because I've heard it multiple times. Yeah, decline in hunting. I'm like, who's making this number up? Because every time I go to a public land or I work a booth at the Deer and Turkey Expo here in Indy, I mean, you're talking everybody. I don't know if it's just Indiana for sake of the conversation. Every block of woods, every farm, every public land, if there's a place you find here and you're thinking, man, there's a big one in there, somebody's hunting it. I mean, it's not even a question. It's like, who? Yeah.
Then, when I took my little girl hunting the other day, I was watching her like look, and she was like, be quiet, telling me to hush. I was like, okay, like it just made me wonder like how it's going to be for her when she's our age, or how it's going to progress, or how are they going to come, like are they going to come after us and kind of make it obsolete? Because, they just released all those wolves. So
yeah, I don't know about that. Colorado, that's crazy too. Yeah.
It's like, they're messing with something that's kind of crazy as far as I'm sure you heard about the woolly mammoth they're doing.
Yeah, I heard that. That's
so it's just
real rabbit hole stuff right there. I've heard that though. Joe Rogan podcast.
It's wild, man. So I just didn't know how you think it's going to be just as good in 10 years. You think it'll be better?
I think you have a split in the generation as far as like us. We have old school in us still. It may be little of old school, but it's still there. Then you have the technology side that's it's a whole generation in itself. So people a little bit younger than you and I, because we're about the same age, it's all technology for them, and there's no old school in it whatsoever, unless they really had a grandparent or parent really hammer it home. But maybe that's what they're talking about when they say decline in the hunters. Maybe it's the people just a little bit younger than us. But I feel like if we need to keep this around, I think we need to put a little bit of old school. That's just my opinion.
And I do. I think maybe the gap between us and our kids will kind of maybe lag a little bit, but I feel like everybody in our generation is really going to push it for our kids' generation to kind of step out and kind of take the reins again.
Hopefully they can stay on top of everything like our generation and the generation before us, as far as staying on top of it, even in legislative stuff and laws and all that kind of stuff. Stay on top of it where they ain't taking a bunch of stuff away from us. We should be able to hunt anywhere we want to, as long as we're following the laws, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one that keeps me awake at night sometimes is how it'll be in 10 years, because dude, I don't know what I'd do without hunting, so it freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do either. It's funny, the people that I went with in southern Indiana this past weekend, the dad, I hunted and filmed the son, but the dad went too. He still had a buck tag. He said, boy, I can tell you just really love this, don't you? I said, it don't matter if it's me hunting or you hunting or him hunting. I'm going to go with somebody. I'm going to film you. I just love to be here. And I got up at 4. I left my house at 4 o'clock in the morning to meet them, to drive 2.5 hours or whatever it was down to their lease. And it's like, I don't just get out of bed at 3:30 in the morning for anything.
Yeah. It's not for, dude, I'm really looking forward to you coming down. I think it's going to be a wild good time. I think I think it'll be something that we start doing every year.
Hopefully, man, because I love long beards for sure.
We'll make it happen.
That's awesome, man.
So I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, spending your night with me. For anybody that wants to follow along with you on socials, what socials you got?
D_Albright 7. That's all my hunting stuff and then the outdoor dad stuff I'm doing with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Got three, like I said, I got the 3-year-old and this she's 7 months now, so I've got them out. I got into a little bit of trouble on TikTok because I had the car seat strapped on the side by side. And they pulled it down. Dude, it hit like 100,000 views, and they pulled it down.
They pulled it down? Man, they're getting ridiculous with some of that. I see some half-naked women on there dancing. I have seen naked women on TikTok. I'm not going to lie. And what did I put? I put something on there not that long ago. I think it was just a grip and grin on a slideshow, and it was one picture of somebody holding a deer. Boom. I mean, it didn't even make it. It didn't even make it on there.
Yeah, mine was just Maddie, and it was cute because she had her swim goggles on because it was summertime, so it was dusty. So she put her little goggles on, and then I had Macy in her car seat strapped in with 2 gunner dog crate straps. You know, we wasn't even going. You know,
right? Just putting around the yard.
Yeah, and I was like, just because Mama's away don't mean we can't go and do what we're gonna do. Right. And dude, it blew up, and it was just. Hey, it was all good comments like, everybody needs to raise their kids like this. And then you had your Karens jumping in there like, this is extremely unsafe. The car seat's void. And then TikTok pulled it down. I appealed it and they put it back up, but they was like, it cannot be on the For You page.
That's ridiculous, man.
So, yeah, dude, it's crazy. So, yeah, I'm trying to really get them involved as much as I can to kind of help blossom their spirit and their love for it. So.
For sure, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. For anybody that wants to go check his stuff, go check it out. Appreciate you if you're still in the podcast world listening to us. Really appreciate you if you're on YouTube still listening to us. Hit that like and subscribe button for us. But we'll be back again here next week, episode 70. We'll see you.
See you, man.